say familiarity breeds contempt. Speaking of familiarity, the fuel starvation problem, this time on the rear tank, so running some diagnostics on the way home. Well, done better than this morning. I had it lean out on me twice in between work and home. And I work not even 2 kilometres from work, so the fact that I can see my house is pretty good. Not entirely calling a win, but it's pretty good. So that will be put in with the other long list of things that I'm about to do. Just taken it yesterday for its first warrant of fitness under my ownership, so I've got a little bit of a list. Nothing major, but it's a list nonetheless. Alright, well, my fuel issues wouldn't normally be all that urgent because the LandRover is not my main vehicle as such. They're made a little bit more urgent by this little issue on my main vehicle. I don't know if you can quite see that. That's the upper trailing arm, and it should actually be attached to the chassis. So I'm going to get that to the panel beater and get him to fix that because, well, I'm happy to undertake some dodgy engineering solutions. That's one that I'm not prepared to undertake. Okay, so I arrived at the panel beaters. Don't worry, it's a very short drive. The irony is that it appears that traction's posed a slightly different problem than what I initially realised. And so yeah, the diff's kind of trying to fall out. So let's get this sorted and then back to working on the offender. So what I've remembered is last night I were working on adjusting the handbrake that I'm going to get back to later. And there's a wire that looked really dodgy. Now I'm just investigating whether that wire that looked really dodgy was actually attached where I thought it was, which coincidentally enough is the fuel solenoid for the dual tank. So I have a feeling that I've created a problem and it's not actually a LandRover problem, it's a me problem. So what we've got is this little connector here hooks onto the fuel solenoid. This little wire here is not very connected, so I think I've knocked that and broken it, and that could be causing my problem, so I'm going to investigate. Time to put things away. There's blood absolutely everywhere. I pinched myself with some part of the pliers here when I was stripping the wire. Rookie move, but working in a confined space, and I was holding them in an awkward fashion. Okay, so pulled the pump out, well, pump apart. It all looks pretty good. So I'm a little bit of a loss with this one. Main fuel filter is out. And let's have a look at what we've got. Even looking in there, it's not the greatest. So I saw a bit of crap in the lines. So we'll put a fresh one in. Right, so filter back in. Run it and see what happens, see if it conks out on me again. There's been a bit of a revelation or realisation. Pump that I encountered when pulling the front tank out was actually the rear pump, which intrigues me a lot. And the nice clean pump that I pulled out very recently is actually the front pump. So now it's time to pull the rear pump, and that might indicate my next move in identifying this fuel issue. There's fuel and there's no end of crap inside it. Just going to pull this filter out and you can come along for the ride and see just how bad it is as I see how bad it is. And a filter, a seal and a magnet are absolutely filthy again. By the way that's draining, I feel we've got a bigger issue with the pump not doing what it's supposed to. So I'm going to clean that up quickly and put it back together. Okay, so that wasn't rusty, but looked like sand. Not quite sure how I end up with sand in my fuel pump. Kind of keen to find out, but today is not the day to be pulling the rear fuel tank out. That might be a job for next weekend. So what I'm going to do is see if that changes the speed of the pump and so on and so forth, and see if with it being a little bit cleaner, it's actually going to make a difference. Giving the cotton reel mounting a decent clean up, and the earth strap. They were both a little bit dirty, and obviously the filter wasn't a problem because it's still conked out on me, so. Right, time to engage a bit of science to see how much the pump is pumping in 30 seconds and see if they're both pumping the same. So front pump, just under half a litre in 30 seconds, so we'll recycle that. Fuel hose into the fuel can again. Now, let's repeat. Now, what result have we got? A total blockage. Interesting. So I've gone to check the line from the fuel pump to solenoid and realised that my wire that I was fighting the other day indeed didn't crimp when I tried to bleed everywhere. Obviously in my rush I went thinking about what I was doing, and also my crimping pliers that I've been dying to upgrade because I hate them because they are crap, may have actually struck again. I don't want to speak too soon, but I'm sure it should have run out of fuel by now. Okay, so I've got a very leaky hub to do as well. So I'll do that in a minute. If you put it on there, I'll just make sure it's in the right gear. So that's tightening. We want it loosening. So you put that on there and loosen it, and I'll put my arm up and hold on to the spanner underneath.
No, it's right, keep going, I'll just use safety squints, I'll close my eyes for a moment, and then I'll get them.
So now, I've got the new one, we'll remember how it came off. Time to investigate our stub axle leak, so hopefully this isn't too major. Two bolts just to align everything. So I haven't managed to fix my brake light problem permanently yet. I have found exactly where it is and temporarily fixed it. By temporarily I mean I put in the new brake light sensor switch, didn't do it up anything other than finger tight, so it keeps moving. So that is the job now, once I get it set correctly. Anyone with a Land Rover will know these are super temperamental. So I have to pick up the offender, sent it in to have the handbrake adjusted because 2 different directions I tried to solve the problem, it was having none of it. I have found time and time again that one of the best solutions to any problem is to throw money at the problem, and enough money thrown at the problem makes the problem go away. It's about at this point that I decided I don't need any more problems. I'm not that good at problem solving.